Hi, I'm Tim from RedBack Lasers. We're here on site using the fence alignment kit to put in a boundary fence here on this property. So we've set the tripod up so we're straddling over the top of the post. Customers wanting to run the fence line here off the outside of the post. So you can see we've set the scope up so the scope's going to look down fence line to the other end assembly that's about 700 metres away. So firstly, in setting that laser up, we've got the adjustment there on the laser offset bracket to get that scope over the outside of the post, which is where we want our alignment from. Then what we're going to do is align the scope, and we can fine tune that with the fine tune rotation to a star picket we've put in at about 40 metres down there. The idea is to get the scope on that star picket at the moment. We're going to take our receiver down, put it on the star picket, press the tracking button and track the laser in to that position. And that way now we can lock on the laser and the scope in the same line of path. So firstly, we'll turn on the laser and go and put the receiver down onto that star picket. So now what I'm going to do is power on that receiver and lock that onto our staff that we aligned with the scope. Press and hold that blue button for 5 seconds. We hear it beep and we see the little LED there illuminate blue. Now we're just got to wait for the magic to happen. That laser's rotating and it's scanning vertically left and right until it talks it into the receiver. So we'll wait and see when the receiver tells us it's seeing that laser. So now that laser's hit the edge of the receiver, we can see it's now 25 mil out, so it's still dragging that laser across. 20 mil, 15 mil, and when it's within 5 mil, it's going to lock off. So that solid beep tells us it's locked off. The blue light's gone out and we've now got green in the center. So our laser's now locked on vertically to where we scoped. We'll turn that off for a second. All right, that means now we can re-scope the laser to the end assembly and our laser's going to be on the same path as our scope. So we'll go and reset that laser and away we go. I'm going to readjust the scope and rotate the whole assembly. And we're aiming at the front of the post on the end assembly that's about 700 metres down the paddock there. So we've scoped in with the scope to the edge of that post there. When I look down the fence line, I can get a bit of a flash and I can see we're a couple of inches off, but we're fairly close, over 700 metres. So we know we're going to see with the receiver around 350, 400 metres. By the time we come halfway up the fence line, we're going to shift that laser over our last post and re-aim again into this end assembly and finish off our fence. Alrighty, so we've slowed the rotation speed down to 300 RPM, which is going to give us a longer range with the receiver. We're currently sitting at around about 300 metres out from that laser. Now I've got the spirit vial on the staff there. You can see I'm running the staff on its side because the centre of the receiver is running down in line with that staff. Now getting the bullseye vial level and listening to that level tone, that's about our level indicator there. So really what I'm doing is I'm sticking my staff on the ground, I'm looking at the bullseye vial and pivoting my staff across. And when I hear it change, or we're getting to that central alignment, I want to make sure my bullseye vial is, or my bubble is in the centre of that bullseye vial and adjust the bottom of my staff accordingly. So really now what we could do is drive a post in here and so that's shown with within 10 mil. Alrighty, so we've put the centre post in here in this fence line that's just shy of 800 metres. So what do you reckon, Chris? Easy way of doing it?
Yeah, heaps easier.
Yep.
Like,
so
as long as it comes up straight, are you happy? Like, yeah, better than trying to keep them going along and the steel post and adjusting each time. So
flicking your tension wire and away you go. Alrighty, so if we look back through the scope, pivot it up, we can see that post, that's smack on line. So we're going to pick up the fence system now and transfer it down to that middle post so that we can just operate both ways. The most important thing to remember is to turn the laser off using the remote control, not at the laser itself. If we use the remote control, we're not going to change any settings on the laser. So then we can simply just take that laser off the bracket and transport that up to the other end. So we've come back to that center post. This time we're going to run straight off the post itself. So you might have been wondering what this bracket is. What we're going to do is simply take that bracket, put it at height even to the top of the post. All right, so we've locked that now onto the post. Thanks, Chris. With the offset bracket now, we can actually screw that straight down onto there. And that's why that has been shortened. We're now going to line the edge of the scope, or the center of the scope, over the outside of that fence post there. Tighten that up as much as we can. Again, using the rotation base, we can sight up to our strainer assembly. We're a little bit out, so I'll just wind it in. All right, and now we can snap that scope off and just test that back the other way. And bang, we're picking up the end assembly both behind us and moving forward along the fence, so we can run that whole fence now just under 800 metres straight off the laser. So we better get to work. There's a whole heap of posts to go in. Alrighty, so we're locked and loaded and we're ready to go, and Chris has just asked if he wants to use that laser for standard operation. Just get rid of the fence kit and set that laser up horizontally on your tripod for everyday laser operation. And that vertical tracking we use to track in and get that laser parallel or in line with the scope, we can use that now to go and set a grade. So if we're trying to put an apron slab out the front of a shed or machinery shed, we can set that laser up to whatever fall we require and get to work. So you've got a laser that's going to do all your everyday lasering. Awesome. And use it for all your fence stuff.
Yeah.
All right, no worries.
That's what I sort of want, yeah.
Cool, thanks Chris.
Thanks Tim.
No worries,
Oh,
cheers
legend.
mate.
Thank you.